All right, guys, good morning. I am Miss Reed. If you have not been able to join our Zoom meetings yet, I am Miss Reed. I am your reading and social studies teacher, and just welcome to third grade. Today we are going to start our content, and we are going to begin with Unit 1, and I'm breaking our Lesson 1 into two parts to make it just a little bit easier. So for today's lesson, you're going to need, obviously, your computer. You're going to need a pencil, your purple workbook, and you will be using the I Notice, I Wonder note catcher in your purple notebook, in your purple workbook. So for today's lesson, we are going to be investigating some pictures and quotes to discover what we'll be learning about for the next few weeks. Our learning targets today. So these are things that we're going to be able to do by the end of our lesson. So by the end of our lesson, I can discuss and record what I notice and wonder about resources. I can infer the topic of this module from the resources. So these are our learning targets for this lesson. Notice. So this is a vocab word. I have it underlined. We're going to have a word wall. So notice is a verb. It means to become aware or see something. So when you say, I notice, you're becoming aware of it or you're seeing it. It's something you can see. An example of this would be, I notice Miss Reed has red hair. That's something you can see. I notice it's cloudy outside today. That's something that you notice. You're seeing something. Wonder is another vocabulary word. This is also a verb. And remember that a verb is an action word. Wonder means to be curious and ask questions. So as we move forward, when I say, what do you notice? You're going to tell me things that you see. But when I ask you, what do you wonder? You're going to ask me questions. So these would be who, what, when, where, why, and how questions. Who, what, when, where, why, and how questions. So remember that a wonder is a question that you're asking. And you always want to start those questions with the 5 W's and how. Infer. Infer is also a verb. This is our next vocabulary word for our word wall. To infer means making a good guess based on the evidence seen. So this means you're making a very good guess based on what you have already seen or what you've already learned or maybe something that you've heard. So we're not just going to guess anything and everything. It's going to be based on the evidence that you've seen, so things that you already know. So when you look at a picture or a book, you notice details. So I want you to think about what details do you notice about this picture? What details do you notice about this picture? I notice children are reading books. If I look at everything going on in this picture, I see kids, I see children reading books. So that's what I notice. I can see that in the picture. And that's a detail. Seeing children reading books is a detail that I notice. So inferring the topic. Over the next few weeks, we're going to be learning about a new topic. You might not have done this in second grade. So we're going to be spending a lot of time doing this because inferring the topic is something you will do a lot of as you continue to go through third grade with me. And once you go into fourth grade, fifth grade, middle school, and high school, and even college. So this is something that you're going to be doing for as long as you are in school. So what does it mean to make an inference? What does it mean to make an inference? So making an inference, so you're taking the background knowledge, this is what you already know, and you're adding in that text evidence, so things from the book, because text evidence, a text is a book. It can be a fiction book, it can be a nonfiction book, but that's text evidence. So when you put together what you already know, that background knowledge, with the text evidence, the information from the book, you're making an inference. So let's talk about text evidence some more. Text evidence is any evidence from a fiction or nonfiction text that can be used to support ideas, arguments, opinions, or thoughts. So you can use a quote, for instance, like what I have down at the bottom. The boys take their young friend Liza for a ride on their sled as they walk to the post office to pick up their books. While the northern wind howls across the tundra, they read fantasy and action novels. So you can use quotes. You've got images. Images are also text evidence. It's anything that is from a fiction or nonfiction text that you can use to support your ideas, your arguments, your opinions, or your thoughts. So let's talk again about a quote. A quote is a noun. And remember, a noun is a person, a place, or a thing. So a quote is something that someone has said or written. It's something that someone has said or written. And you're always going to see these little quotation marks that I just popped up. That's how you know it's a quote. All right, so now I want to move on and talk about taking notes. We're going to be taking notes a lot in class, and taking notes, it's something that's going to help you so much when organizing your thoughts. So when you take notes, you're going to be using keywords. You're going to use key phrases, and your notes are going to be there to help you remember your learning. You do not want to make your notes full sentences. If you look at how I put my notes in my organizer here, I kept them short and sweet. It's what we want to do when we're taking notes. We want to keep things short and sweet, and we want to make sure that whatever we put is going to be helping us remember what we learned that day. So notes, that's a noun again. Notes are short, key words and phrases written about something. Short key words and phrases written about something. And that's what I put in my notes organizer right there for you guys to see. That it's keywords and key phrases, and they help you remember your learning. They are not full sentences, so keep them short. So, what I want you to do is look carefully at the image or read the quote when we're inferring the topic. I want you to pause the video while you think about details you notice and things you wonder. So pause this video as you're doing that and write down your notes in your note catcher. All right, so you're going to be looking carefully at this image, and in your note catcher, you're going to write down your notes, the things you notice, the details you notice, and the things you wonder. Remember, a wonder is questions, so make sure you're writing questions for that. So take a second and pause this video and think about that and write down your notes. So notice goes in this first column where the arrow is. I notice that children are reading books. I notice that children are reading books. And I wonder, here my question, why are they reading on camels? Because I noticed there were camels, but I want to know, why are they reading on camels? So I wrote down what I noticed. I wrote down my question that I had. So that's what you're going to do. So you're going to pause with these things right here, with these pictures, this quote, and you're going to record your notices and wonders. The quote says, "The country has 7 floating libraries. The Kalimantan floating library consists of a wood boat, 8 meters long and 3 meters wide. The boat, which is powered by a diesel engine, can carry up to 500 books." So take a second, pause the video, and record your notices and wonders. Next quote for this: "The Books by Elephant delivery program serves 37 villages. They have even designed special metal slates that won't break when carried on the elephant's back across the rough land." So I want you to pause the video again at this point. I want you to think about your notices and your wonders and record your notes on your note catcher.